He is the absolute greatest. And you know what? To be honest, this is the only time I get to talk to him. But Ian, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thank you for that very much overinflated introduction, but I loved every second of it, so keep doing it.
Not at all. You're also very fun to have a drink with at a bar and everything like that. Listen, Ian, what you see, I will tell anybody who asks, they're like, who is a cool guy? I go, Ian. And people, they I don't know if they're put off by it or they're surprised. I'm like, why would you be surprised? He's a delight. I love this man, and I love the information you give to us every week.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think one thing that happens is people see us in the box on TV and they kind of don't know what to think, and I think that's okay. I like to give people a nice little surprise that I'm not a total fan.
I'm here to confirm. I can confirm. I'm confirming his report. Ian Rapoport, awesome dude. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, though. Aaron Rodgers got that huge win over the Detroit Lions on Monday night. Are they officially back now?
I wouldn't say that. It's just not where they were before. I mean, Rodgers sort of famously brought RELAX into our lexicon, and it was a little bit like that because, they looked bad against the Saints, but the Saints defense is good, and they're going to make a lot of people look bad, assuming Jameis doesn't throw 4 interceptions or whatever. They had a bad day, and they played bad, and Rodgers played bad, and then against the Lions, he played better. And I think one thing that we all have to account for, sort of, is he didn't have an offseason. So, he by his own choice, obviously, but he didn't have an offseason. So a lot of what people work through in, June and July and August, he didn't. I didn't play in any games, for instance. So it might take him a little bit, but I really do think the Packers are going to be not just fine, but one of the best teams in the NFL.
A lot of what is one of the big storylines going into Sunday night's game against the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan was asking about trading for Aaron Rodgers. And there was a report, obviously, that there's no bad feelings. Why would there be bad feelings? Are there bad feelings, though? Is this a thing where there actually is some legit heat?
I think anytime you have a situation where one person wants something that someone else has, like a really good player in this case, it's always going to be some frayed nerves. I sort of don't care about any of that because these are all competitors, Yeah. It's and everybody wants to win, and if someone else is trying to take or trade for your quarterback or whatever it is, you're not going to be that happy about it, which I think is okay. Now, Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan known each other for a very long time. I don't know if this is a bump in the road, if you would even call it that, but if it was, I sort of don't care because probably both these guys are going to be around in some form or fashion longer than Rodgers is, certainly longer than he's playing. So it was a tense situation. I think both these guys are going to be fine. I think the game actually is going to be really good this weekend.
Is it kind of like a situation when Joey was trying to date Rachel and then Ross was perturbed for a bit, but then eventually moved on and got over it?
Yeah, I would say that's I think that's a good reference. I would say absolutely. Sometimes with friends, yep. TV friends, or sometimes actual friends, you can kind of get a little sideways, and unless it's something crazy, it usually ends up okay. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It was a weird situation for the whole world. So
for everybody, yeah. Except maybe not Bears fans, because we were enjoying it and having a good time enjoying them possibly imploding. But now the Bears have their own quarterback situation brewing. Yeah. Is there anything that Justin Fields could do that will earn him the starting job for the rest of the season? If he goes out and beats the Browns this week, he's got to be the starter moving forward, correct?
First of all, if that is a question, it's an amazing problem to have, and Bears fans should hope that's the big controversy. That would be amazing. When I look at some of these quarterback decisions around the league over the past couple of years, we've seen some, right? The Bears had one with, Trubisky going in over Mike Glennon. Mm-hmm. There's when Herbert last year was playing for the Chargers, it's always obvious. I don't think that anyone's going to be should Justin Fields keep his job? Should he not? Does he have to give it to Dalton? We're not sure. Either he'll win it and everyone will know he's the starter, or he won't. I think back to the Dallas situation where Dak took over for Romo a bunch of years back.
Right.
And by the time it was like a debate, then eventually Romo just walked to the podium and conceded because it was so obvious that it was Dak's job. That to me is what it's going to be. It's going to be everyone with the Bears knowing like it has to be Fields' job or it shouldn't be, and that will be that.
And then Andy Dalton will come join us at the NFL Network. It'll be awkward because I've made fun of him, but we'll get through it hopefully at some point. And,
I mean, most of these guys have been made fun of at various points, as, by the way, have all of us.
Right.
So Andy Dalton is a very nice guy. I don't think he can take offense to it.
He is like one of the nicest guys, like weirdly, and I always feel bad about that. But I'm like, you know what? At the same time, Andy Dalton, nice guy. My son, my 3-year-old, also nice guy. I don't want either one of them to be starting over Justin Fields, but that's another issue.
Just wait till your son turns 6. It'll be a menace. At least that's my son.
Absolutely. You know what? On the other side of the football in that game, Odell Beckham Jr., what's his status going into Sunday?
You know, it seems like he's going to play. Now, I think they also thought he was going to play week 1 and just did not quite feel right, wasn't able to go, according to him. And, you know, he was a limited participant in practice that week, limited participant last week, now a full participant. Now, I would say a little bit surprising that he didn't play. Definitely surprising. Seems more ready this week. I know Alex Van Pelt talked about that, the offensive coordinator, that sound like he'll be on a little bit of a pitch count. Mm-hmm. You know, like they won't throw him out there, they won't give him a full workload, all of those things. So maybe that'll be the case. I mean, I think we'll see him. But like anything with Odell, you just can never quite tell.
Yeah, it's true. And if he's lined up against Duke Shelley, though, woo, that's not gonna be good for Bear fans. It'd be very good for the fans of the Cleveland Browns. Now, Ian, I am sitting. I can see SoFi Stadium right here. We got to get you out here soon. The Rams, Buccaneers playing this weekend. Who do you got in this one? And is this possibly? I mean, it could be. But, like, is this what you would think is going to be the NFC Championship game here in a couple of months?
Possibly. I mean, there's some other very, very, very good teams, so it's tough to say that. I think the main thing about this game is, you know, the Rams made a big, big, big move this offseason. They traded for Matthew Stafford. They traded away multiple, you know, future first-round picks, a lot of assets. You know, you wouldn't call it all in, but certainly that would be one way to describe it because, you know, they seem to go all in all the time. But this was supposed to take them to the next level. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see if it does. Like, is Stafford the one, because of that acquisition, that lets them beat Tom Brady and the defending champs? If not, then I think there will be some questions. If so, then you're like, all right, the Rams are probably going to end up being exactly what we thought.
Right, and they'll be trading more first-round picks, trying to acquire more talent and things like that.
They always do, and they get a new one every year, you know?
Feels that way. I don't know how it works out for them. Also in that game, Antonio Brown, what's his current situation?
He is on the COVID-19 reserve list after testing positive. Now, he is fully vaccinated, so there's a chance if he's symptom-free for 48 hours and then has 2 negative tests 24 hours apart that he could play. You know, it's clear they're preparing without him, but I think he's got, you know, at least theoretically, according to the timing, a shot to play. And that's what's different this year than last year. Last year we knew who was out. This year we don't, because if you're vaccinated, you know, as he is, you have a chance to come back.
Yeah, that's been the biggest difference so far this season. And also a big difference, I don't know if this is the proper transition, but 20 years ago, to this day, Drew Bledsoe was replaced by Tom Brady. Where were you, Ian?
20 years ago today would have been 2001, right?
That's correct.
So I would have been in college. I do not remember. I don't remember.
That's good. You were in college. You shouldn't remember. Yeah, I know.
That important a date in history that I don't remember. Now, I do remember hearing that Bledsoe had to go to the hospital and being alarmed because that was weird. Like, you didn't hear about that a lot. And I remember the hit not being, I mean, obviously it was a hard hit, but it wasn't like a vicious hit. Mm-hmm. So I remember being alarmed about the aftermath. And then I was definitely Team Brady early on. Yeah. Rather than Team Bledsoe. But the actual hit, I don't remember where I was.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I remember I was actually an intern for the NFL at that point, NFL Publishing Group, and I liked Tom Brady a lot, but I had done something with Drew Bledsoe, so I kind of was always partial to him as well. But I think
one of those media members that gives the love to the people that they know rather than just
right. Do you not know anything about me? That's exactly what I do. That's the hallmark of my career. You're the guy with integrity, the impeccable credentials. I'm just some goof who typically talks about fantasy football and then gets an opportunity to spend some time. But Ian, I want to thank you so much for stopping by the Sick Podcast today. It is always a pleasure. I know we appreciate it. Everybody who is listening is now smarter from being in your presence for the last 10 minutes. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on NFL Network very soon.
Great stuff, man. Great talking to you as always.
All right, Ian, thank you so much. There he goes. Ian Rapoport, the best information man in the business. And now it's just me. And it is my opportunity to sit here and talk to you a little bit about fantasy football. And what I would really like to dive in on are a couple of players who have been struggling over the last couple of weeks. Now, you heard me just talk about Tom Brady. That is a player who is not struggling. I will say this, and I just want to get this out there because we get these awesome statistical packets that come to us each and every week. Tom Brady, in his last 13 games, which he has won, has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes. He can break his own record. This will be the second time that he's done it if he goes 14 games with 2 touchdown passes. I know that he's going up against the Los Angeles Rams team that was the #1 defense over a year ago. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and start Tom Brady. I'm not going to think twice about it. To me, Tom Brady has now earned that reputation. Not that he didn't have it before, but I think over the last couple of years with Bill Belichick, that team was so run-oriented that it was sometimes difficult to start Tom Brady. Now it's kind of switched the other way. Bruce Arians never takes his foot off the gas pedal. You ever watch on a Sunday? And if you ever know, I know when we bring Cash on in a couple of moments, we love talking about this because we love coaches that try to win football games. They're not trying to not lose. They're trying to win. And if you looked at Seattle over the last weekend, they were up big on Tennessee, kind of dialed it back a little bit. Tennessee got back into the game. And Tennessee is a very good football team. And I'm not trying to placate to the producers or anything like that. The Tennessee Titans are a very good football team, and if you give them an opportunity to get back into the game, they will do that. Tampa Bay does not do that. And granted, they were going up against the Atlanta Falcons last week. They continued to pressure that team and ended up winning by 30 points, 20 points. It was ridiculous. So Tom Brady, I guess that's a long way of saying start Tom Brady this week. But here's a couple of guys who I think I get a lot of questions about. People want to know what to do. They're freaking out. So if you'll indulge me for a moment. Number 1, Saquon Barkley. I know a lot of people are upset. You used a first-round pick. It's been 2 weeks, and you're like, why did I use this first-round pick on Saquon Barkley? But here's the thing. He's a very good football player, and he had a very tough matchup last week against the Washington football team. But there was that one play where he popped outside, ran for 41 yards, hit a top speed of over 20 miles per hour that showed us that old Saquon Barkley still exists in this world. We don't have to go to Earth 2 or Earth 3 or anything like that. This current Earth that we are occupying, Saquon Barkley still has the ability to make big plays. The good news is he's going up against the Atlanta Falcons this week. The Atlanta Falcons have given up a ton of fantasy points to running backs over the last couple of years. That has not slowed down. The Buccaneers could have run on them, but Bruce Arians wants Tom Brady to go out there and throw the football all over the field. So to me, Saquon Barkley, you got to start him this week. And you might take these next couple of days to see if somebody in your league who has Saquon is a little bitter. And perhaps you can swing a deal to get Saquon Barkley on your team. The last 6 days, I've spent my time going to other teams and trying to find ways to get Saquon Barkley on my squad, offering trades, doing whatever I need to do. I'm buying in on Saquon Barkley while the price is very low. Another guy, Antonio Gibson, this week has got a very tough matchup going up against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have a kind of an elite defense. I think kind of overlooked this early in the season is how good that Bills defense is. Mac Jones, and I know last week it was going up against the New York Jets, But they shut him down in week 1. They held him in check. And I know normally like a rookie quarterback, it's not something to write home about. But this Bills defense is very good. And I think that you need to keep an eye out for it. And the Bills moving forward are a tough defense, but I think you really got to start Antonio Gibson this week. Obviously, J.D. McKissick had that huge play and took the touchdown away from him, and that cost all the people who had Antonio Gibson. But you know what? The usage is still there. He's getting all the snaps. He's getting targets. He's going to find a way to get into the end zone this week. He's probably going to end up with about 18 fantasy points. And again, find somebody in your league who's frustrated with Antonio Gibson, make him an offer. And finally, Jonathan Taylor. Another one, like there's a lot of people who probably took Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor as their first 2 running backs in the drafts over the summer. Jonathan Taylor's been a disappointment. Somehow Marlon Mack has been gotten into the mix last week. That can't happen. I expect there to be a course correct this week. Obviously, the Indianapolis Colts are reeling. They've got Carson Wentz, who's likely to miss the game. It would be a near miracle for Carson Wentz to play this week. So I think Jonathan Taylor is somebody that needs to start. And again, if you're looking for some buy low candidates for this week, it's going to be too late on Monday. By Monday, the secret is going to be out. The people who drafted them are going to be very pleased with those picks at this point. So look for those 3 guys. That's my piece of advice. Heading into week 3, of course, you can hit me up on Twitter at AdamRank. If you have any specific lineup questions, let me know. But right now, we got to bring in our guy Cash, because we got to be talking about some of the bigger games this weekend. And by the way, Cash, do we need to sit here and gloat a little bit about what the Tennessee Titans did? What did you say about the Tennessee Titans last week?
I think so. I think we should take a second to pat ourselves on the back, guys. The Titans were about 7-point underdogs at the closing line. What did we say? We predicted a win outright. That was a big win, guys. They got it done in overtime. It was looking grim, but like you said, if you give them a chance, they're going to claw back in. That's what they did. That team is underrated. It's still an elite offense, guys. That's a good team.
Now, looking over this week, are there some games similar to that? Because that seemed like, to me, I only do this for entertainment purposes, and we do picks for NFL media. I don't do point spreads. I don't do anything like that. I know that gambling's now becoming a big thing in the NFL. I do, but I just know when people aren't picking a team, like why is nobody expecting the Titans to win, and then they go out there and they win? What about this week? Who are some of the games that people should be looking out for?
Yeah, so a big game, a big misconception this week again is going to be the Chiefs. Everyone's going to say the Chiefs are going to bounce back. They just lost a game they probably shouldn't have lost to the Ravens. Well, I'm going to tell you what, guys. Through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, the Chiefs' defense has been the absolute worst, almost in every category. These guys are giving up almost 7 yards per possession. It's absolutely awful, guys. They have one of the most horrific defenses through 2 weeks I've seen in a long time. The Chargers, on the other hand, they're coming off a loss to the Cowboys. I thought they should have won that game, guys. Full transparency, that's the only game that I lost this week. I went 6-1. The Chargers, I had the -3 against the Cowboys. It didn't work out. I thought they should have won that game. I think it's going to be a close game, guys. The Chargers are getting 6.5 points. Take the points. Take them to win outright. I can see an upset coming here. I just don't think this Kansas City defense is going to be able to stop Justin Herbert and his weapons. I can see the Chargers putting up 35 points on these guys.
When you go through your analysis, do you ever take into effect like the crowd in Kansas City? Last year, Justin Herbert was so great playing in empty stadiums. Yeah. This is his first opportunity to find a real, true, hostile environment, one of the toughest places in the league. Do you ever factor that into your analysis?
100%. Full transparency again, the line's at 6.5. My power rating number is about Kansas City -3 on a neutral field. Mm-hmm. So the line being at 6.5 does make sense. I'd give them about a 2-point home field edge, that being Kansas City. So of course the loud crowd and then Justin Herbert again never playing in a stadium like that with all these fans going nuts, I'd factor in an additional half point for that. You're looking at about a 2.5 point advantage, and the thing is, people are going to be like, oh, it's only 2 points. Guys, 2 points on an NFL spread is massive. The home field edge that's built into the team like that, it's actually a massive advantage, and Vegas looks at that and everyone's aware of that. So it's definitely something I take into account in my handicapping, especially this year. Last year, obviously not so much, guys. They're basically playing on a neutral field almost every game. There's no fans anywhere. This year, it's a different case. Look for the home team to get about a 2, maybe 3 point home field edge.
You know what? I say that selfishly too because I have Justin Herbert in a couple of dynasty leagues. So I'm like, I'm really concerned about this. I'm probably overthinking it. I hope he's going to be all right. I know he had a couple of games in college. I know that there was a game against Auburn that I thought that did not work out very well for him. But hey, listen, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna start him in all of my fantasy leagues. What about? Are there any other games though that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, another one. The Ravens -7.5 against the Lions. Guys, this Ravens team shot up in my power rankings. They got destroyed. They didn't get destroyed week 1. They lost the game that they probably should have won to the Raiders.
Yeah.
They weren't doing what they're good at though. Against the Raiders, Lamar Jackson was throwing 2 out of the 3. Every single first down, it was throw, run, 1 run out of the 3. He was barely running any run options. Sorry. I just thought they got away from their game plan against the Raiders, and I just don't think it worked out. Against Kansas City, what did they do? They ran the ball. They ran the ball down their throats. 4th and 1. You guys were talking about winning coaches before. John Harbaugh, this guy is a killer, man. This guy, it's almost as if this guy's betting against the spread himself because this guy covers games. He blows out bad teams, and that's what he's going to do this week. They're going to run the ball down this Lions defense throat. I think this one can get ugly. -7.5. You can get it at a 6-point teaser. Get it down to -1.5. This game could get ugly, guys. John Harbaugh is an against the spread monster. I think this Ravens team is on the come up. They might be number 2 in my power rankings, guys, behind Tampa Bay. They're a team to definitely look out for.
I love the end of the game when he asked Lamar, do you want to go for it? You know, obviously, I think if John Harbaugh doesn't want to go for it there, they're not going for it. But I think the whole thing of like asking Lamar, he knows what Lamar's going to say. He knows Lamar is going to be like, hell yeah, I want to go for it. He gave him the moment. Like he let Lamar, because like if John Harbaugh just calls the play, then everybody's talking about John Harbaugh. Like, oh, John Harbaugh made this great thing. He gave that moment to Lamar Jackson, and he went out there and made the most of it. And I will say this, too. From fantasy purposes, I love Tyson Williams for the very same reason you're talking about, getting back to running the football. If you like J.K. Dobbins in the beginning of the season, you should love Tyson Williams. Additionally, this is going to be weird because I know you're thinking, and I know people get scared and they're like, well, it's going to be a blowout. I don't want to start Marquise Hollywood Brown. I think the run is going to set up a couple of huge plays for him. So you want to be starting Marquise Hollywood Brown this week. Just listen, this is how we come together. Cash is good at what he does. I do what I do, and we do that. But before I let you go, is there anything, I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Is there anything else that we need to know?
It's Thursday, guys. I'm going to be honest. Usually I give you guys a pick. We got a pretty ugly game today. It's the Panthers and the Texans. The Texans, Tyrod Taylor's out. I don't see an edge on the spread here, guys. It's 7.5. I wouldn't touch the spread. I lean under 43.5. Those would be my closing remarks, guys. Go light. Don't hammer this light. Under 43.5. I can see this game being a really low scoring game, maybe 21-3, 21-10, something around that range.
All right. Well, I'll just be looking for Christian McCaffrey because that's the only guy I'm starting. I have Brandon Cooks, but I think that this defense is so strong for the Carolina Panthers. I'm actually benching him for Allen Robinson this week, so I'm a coward. That's what I'm going to do.
That ties into my under too. Carolina's defense has been great. There
it is. All right, Cash. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping by and all the good advice that you're giving. And listen, it's for everybody. This is just general football knowledge. You crush it. Ian crushes it. And I want to thank everybody at the Sick Podcast for allowing me this opportunity to come and speak to you. I'm sure that I went over my time. I'm sure the guys in the back are like, why is Rank still talking? He needs to go. He needs to finish this up. But I do want to thank you for the opportunity. It was an absolute blast. And you know what? As long as they'll have me, I think we're going to do it again next week. Until that time, we'll see you then.